And lastly, on the large tiers of power, we're going to be talking about deities. So, what are deities? They are higher beings of power. They're all over the place. If you want a great resource on deities, I recommend checking out the Encyclopedia of Spirits. That is linked on my website. I get no kickback from that, but I use that book all the time, and which is why I recommend it to so many people. Deities, they could come from souls, they could come from nature, they could come from really anything that we talked about, and they grow in a particular way. Deities, for me, when I'm reading, they come across like high energy. There is this sort of understanding that they have, and sometimes if my frequency isn't dialed in correctly, it's like in my mind's eye, I've seen like bursts of light, and I'm like, ugh. I've seen bursts of darkness. I've seen beings that will show me what they look like wherever they come from. And then I'm like, okay, well, what do you look like here? Like, what would followers see you as here? And they're like, oh, right, human. And I'm like, yep, that's me. I'm just trying to... And, deities, depending on who you're working with, they can have similar qualities to us. They can be tricksters. That doesn't mean that they're bad. They just might adhere to that. They might be teaching a lesson. I know for me, with my work with Hermes, is what he tells me all the time, which is lighten up. He has played jokes on me before. An example of that is at my altar space, I had a goblet of wine out for him for an offering. And granted, deities, depending on who you're working with, you could be leaving offerings of very different things. Sometimes offerings are offerings of service. I did that for Hecate with working with adoptable dogs, specifically black dogs, and getting them adopted. But yeah, with Hermes, I had all of my things out, and somehow, and this has never happened before, my elbow caught the side of that goblet of wine, and it went at me, and the wine specifically hit some mail that I had received from fans. It hit the romper that I was wearing, which was also a gift from somebody. It hit this little thing that I have out for Rupert that I was given to by a friend. It hit part of a bear that I'd had for so long, which had to do with my theater work. It was very specific on the things that hit. And literally, I remember after it happened, I was just like, why? I was like, what did I do? I was like, how did I mess up? And all the while, I'm cleaning up the wine, and I'm taking off the romper, and I'm throwing it in the laundry and stuff like that, and I clean it up, and all the while, I'm like, what did I do? And then I took some time to breathe. And I realized that everything that the wine hit, one, nothing was permanently damaged. Two, everything that it had hit in some capacity had to do with communication, which is specifically having to do with Hermes and what he's done in my life and how he's helped on my platforms and that sort of thing. And finally, when I was calm enough, I channeled him a little bit and was like, hey, did I mess up? And there was a pause. And then I got a lighten up, kid. I was just like, thanks. So yeah, it really depends on who you work with. Not everybody wants to work with the trickster. I know for Hermes, he's more forgiving than some deities when it comes to offerings. Some deities are very specific about what you can give them and how you can work with them. Some deities are just not even wanting to work with people, and they just want offerings. And when I say not wanting to work with them, I mean just maybe on a day-to-day basis, but you can still make offerings in request of something, which is kind of like working with them, but it's like a payment sort of thing. One of the things that I have appreciated in having a larger pantheon of deities that I can work with or worship or leave offerings to is that when you leave something, one, it's not that they need it, it's seen as a sacrifice from us, right? Like when I go out and buy wine, I'm sacrificing money and time and wine that I would like to make it as an offering. All of that is energy. And I think that's the most important thing to note here. It is energy that you are putting out for them in the request that they're able to work with you and offer you what you are asking for. Some deities will call out to you. Some deities you might just work with on something specific, and you may not have like an altar space for them or something like that. I always recommend do your research on who you are working with. And we're going to get more into this on the next course as well. But yeah, deities, are they all bad? No. Are they all good? No. Are they just what they are? Yes. They're higher beings who you can be connected with, and that's entirely fine. Can they be removed or broken up? Good luck. A lot of them don't really have space on our plane, or if they do, it's in a kind of spirit space that shares our plane. So for the most part, it's like not having to remove them. So you shouldn't have to worry about that too much. But if you are in a particular space that has been claimed by that deity, perhaps your house sits on top of an old temple to someone from even like 1,000 years ago, and that essence is still there, and you start practicing something that would have gone against what that deity would have wanted, yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that. Sometimes they will just move out. The essence will move out. Deities can create versions of themselves. They can create energetic forms of themselves, thought form spirits of themselves. They can be in many places at once. Sometimes if you're just like, hey, can we have this space? They'll be like, ew, what are you doing? I don't want anything to do with that. Other times, for whatever reason, they'll be like, no, you can move, and your life will be made terrible until you go. The whole point of this is, honestly, it kind of makes me feel a little better that I'm only in so much control, but I can gain more control depending on who I work with. So it's just something to recommend. Looking into different deities, even if it's just for fun research or something like that, can be really cool. And it also says a lot about the society that that deity came from at that given time. So it's kind of like sociology and anthropology work as well. That is the course on types of spirits. I hope you have enjoyed this wild ride.